In Acts chapter 2, I'm going to preach a message today called The Field of Impact. The field of impact is based on this idea that whatever we build or commit to in obedience to God, God blesses that thing and increases it. God's blessing cannot be divorced from our obedience. We often have ideas of our own and then invite God to bless our ideas. That's human nature. Everyone does that from time to time. One of the most foundational verses that really shook me and got my attention is found in Isaiah. And Isaiah says this: if you're willing and obedient, you'll eat the good of the land. I don't know about you, but I like the good of the land. Anybody? Am I on my own? I mean, I like good stuff. How many of you like a good steak? Oh yeah. How many of you like a nice, starchy, total carbohydrate-filled side dish topped with cheese or something like that? I like good stuff. And God isn't opposed to good things. He says that He'll give us the good of the land. But there is a twofold prerequisite to eating the good of the land: willingness and obedience. Now, obedience is important, and that's going to be the main topic that we talk about. But I think that oftentimes it's easy for Christians to adopt what I will call reluctant, angry obedience. I did it. God told me to do it, but I didn't want to do it. I hated it the whole time I was doing it. And we think there's some honor in that. Like God is blessed by that. God is our Heavenly Father, isn't that right? Which that makes us His kids. So let's just use a parent and child analogy. How many of you really it gets under your skin when you ask your kids to do something and they grumble and complain the whole time they do it? Praise the Lord. Hey, Jake, it's time to take out the trash. Hey, dude, shut up. You're breathing my oxygen. You're eating my food. You're living in my air conditioning. You're in the comfort of what God's provided in us through your parents. Like, just shut up and take the trash down. Now, Alex, when he would be asked to do things, he always responded with a happy heart every time. He was always like, thanks, Dad, for letting me do this for our family. They weren't always reluctant, but how many of you have parents really appreciate when your kids are willing to do what you've asked them to do? That's how God is with His kids. He wants you, and He wants me, He wants us to want to. And that's usually the struggle and the fight of faith-filled obedience, is to get to a place where you want to do it. We're going to read some verses here in Acts chapter 2, and I'm going to begin in verse 40. I think they'll be on the screen. It says this, and with many other words, he testified and exhorted them, saying, be saved from this perverse generation. Then those who gladly received this word were baptized, and that day about 3,000 souls were added to them. And they all continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, in the breaking of bread and in prayers. Then fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done through the apostles. Now all who believed were together and had all things in common, and sold their possessions and goods, and divided them among all as anyone had need. So continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added daily, and the Lord added to the church daily those who were being saved. Today is a special day. I want to just underline that. Today is special. Not because of an offering, but because this is one of those holy moments, I believe with all my heart, where our willing obedience is going to reach both generationally and eternally, off into the future. Over the last weeks, we've walked through the fields that God uses to grow his kingdom. We've walked through the field of the heart, and God had an opportunity to soften the soil in our hearts. The week after that, we looked at the field of community and asked God to align us in love and unity with our brothers and sisters. Last weekend, we looked at the field of sacrifice, and we invited God to open our hands. Today, as we're going to step into this last field, the field of impact, we're going to see that God takes what we release to him and multiplies it for his purpose and his kingdom and his cause. It's an important field. What we build in obedience, God blesses with increase. Let me pray over us as we get into the meat of this word today. Father in heaven, thank you for every person, for every man, woman, and child. Thank you for everyone in this room. Thank you for everyone watching online right now. Thank you for those who will watch this off into the future. I ask you, Lord, to do the thing that only you can do in each and every one of our lives, and we'll be quick to give you all the praise, all the honor, and all the glory for it. In Jesus' matchless name, and God's people said, amen. Verse 45, I'm going to zero in on these verses. They're punchy. When we take these seriously, there is a bit of weight to them when it's attached with the idea of, will I act on these? Or will I read it as a historical documentation of some people that did something way back when that doesn't apply to me? Like when you really get into the heart of it for you and say, okay, Jesus, what are you saying to me through this text? It has some emphasis that I felt personally, and I'm going to tell you about that in just a moment. Verse 45, they sold their possessions and goods, and they divided them among all as anyone had need, and so they continued daily in one accord with gladness and simplicity of heart. Watch this. They got rid of and turned loose of things and still kept their joy. They continued daily with gladness and simplicity of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily those who were being saved. Acts says they sold possessions. The sale of a possession is not a casual thing. How many of you would agree that's not a casual thing? It's a very intentional thing. It's not the approach of, well, let's see what's left. Let's not see if we have something to spare. It is giving up something of value today that I believe will have an impact in someone's life tomorrow or the day after. That's sacrifice. And real sacrifice is always felt. You feel it. King David understands this. When he offers a gift to the Lord, and this is what he says in 2 Samuel 24:24. I will not offer burnt offerings to the Lord my God with that which costs me nothing. He was very aware of the value of the thing that he gave. If it doesn't cost us, it doesn't really have the power to change us. If I don't feel it yet, it might not be sacrifice yet. I want you to hear me on this, because I'm not advocating today or any day that you give your last dollar. In fact, I would caution you strongly against anything that deprives your family of its basic needs or violates the laws of stewardship. I want to be very careful about this, because sacrifice is not reckless. Sacrifice is a responsive, obedient act to what we feel or sense in our heart. It's when God puts his finger on something and we say, really? That? Whoa. Sacrifice grows us, it stretches us, it deepens us. It does one of my wife's favorite words right now. It declutters us. I need you to understand this. Sacrifice is not God trying to take something from us. It's God trying to free us from something that has us captive. If you've ever cleaned out your garage, you know. The getting rid of things is the getting free. Spiritually, sacrifice works the same way. So this last week, a couple of things that are worth mentioning. So some time ago, my wife and I, we kind of redid some things in our house, and it's really nice, and we really enjoy our home, and we spend some time there, so it's nice that you enjoy where you live, right? And it's not all about the things, but I have a special corner. It's my cooking corner. And I specifically designed it. And I thought through the drawers, and I thought through all of the things that I would want there. In fact, I wish I would have brought it, but I have one drawer that's right below the gas range, and it is color-coded, all in the same type of jars, spices. You pull it out and you see, it's beautiful. It makes me smile. Maybe a little OCD, right? But let him who was without sin cast the first stone. Order, it makes me happy. But that order had kind of over a period of time spiraled into chaos. You ever notice how that happens? And like it's set and it's nice, and then through lack of attention, things get out of order. And so my wife was like, Josh, we really should do something with your corner. I'm like, what are we gonna do with my corner, right? And I get a little defensive, and defensive Josh is not a pleasant Josh, and I was like, I don't really want to do that. And she's like, no, you'll be happy once we do it. And so I'm telling you this because it took me like 3 days to build up the mental energy to tackle the corner. Anybody like that? Like if you wake up that morning and someone pops an idea on you, you're like, oh no, that's not gonna happen. But I'm the kind of guy that if I have like a couple days to prep, then I can be less of a jerk while I'm doing it, okay? So we get to it and we finish it. And she like led the charge, and I was really having a bad spell because she, in order to make everything clean, you have to take everything out. And then you see how much nonsense has been hidden in the drawers. So we finish it, we get done, and I had the forethought, Friday, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do these things, okay? If I'm boring you, just be patient. So I have the forethought. Okay, I got to do these errands. Well, I think it's going to snow, so I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to buy some stuff, and then Ange and I are going to organize this kitchen, and then I'm going to really be able to give it for a test run and see if everything we moved mattered. Okay. This has nothing to do with the message. It'll be no takeaway. It's just fun to tell the story. Okay. So we finish it all, and then I get to cooking, and so I started with maple pepper bacon that I cooked in a cast iron skillet, because you got to have a nice base of grease for your eggs, and because I was going to make a fried egg and cheese sandwich on a homemade everything bagel. And so we did that, and I was like, oh, okay, that worked, that went good. And then the next thing was a big pot of chili. And I finished it, and Ange came home, and I said, baby, everything we did was awesome. Like, when I needed to reach for something, it was there. I wasn't looking, right? So I told you it had nothing to do with anything, and it doesn't. But if you've ever done something like that, I guess it has a little bit to do, but not really. If you free up space, it is freeing to you. You can kind of do it. And we all have stuff that clutters us. We have it that clutters us emotionally. We have it that clutters us spiritually. We have it that things that clutter us physically. So spiritual sacrifice is like this. So why did the people in the book of Acts, why did that early church sell the possessions? I believe that one of the reasons was possessions are fine until they start possessing us. Some things we own start to own us. Not because they're evil, but because our hearts become attached. And the thing that should be the most attached to us is God and His Word. And when other things get attached, the detachment can be difficult. And sometimes a powerful step in spiritual growth is to release the thing that has dug too deep of roots in us. I was thinking about today and what I was going to do. And it had been a while since I could remember anything that I had sold and brought to the Lord. And I was thinking through, what do I have, what's mine, that I can sell? And I start thinking through the things, and the Lord highlights this thing to me, this possession, that's very important to me. It's very meaningful to me. And I was like, I don't think that's gonna work. And see, this thing was not a random item. It wasn't in the back of the closet with an inch of dust on it. It's something that I still care about, even though it's gone. A bunch line, I did get rid of it. Not a random item, something from the back of the closet. It mattered to me. Listen very carefully, please. It mattered to me more than I wanted to admit that it mattered to me. I remember holding it and saying, Lord, are you sure? And this is what realization I came to, that this possession, it found a place in me that it didn't deserve. It wasn't about its value. It was about its place. It was about the attachment that I had to it, that God was simply asking me, are you willing to let go of this thing that has more of you than it should? And that was a conversation. That was a process. That was me calling people to see if I could get them to talk me out of doing it. Then it was a talking to people that I respect once I had arrived at a decision, so that I wouldn't back out of doing it because I already given my word that I was, and I told these people that I would, and I respect them. And I might lie to God, but I'm not going to lie to them. Come on, tell the truth. There's times where you'll be like, okay, Lord, you can have it all, and then you're back attached to those same things, whether they're emotional or spiritual or physical, and we've lied to the Lord. See, what I want you to know is I've sold it. And listen to me very carefully, I brought a portion of that thing's sale to the Lord today. I want to be clear about something. I'm not giving all of the proceeds. I'm giving a portion. And that's okay. Because sacrifice isn't just about amounts. It's measured by obedience and honesty. And this is, quite frankly, church, the deepest level of sacrifice that I have felt in a very long time. And I'm not telling you this for anything except for, I believe this principle that servant leaders go first. If a person is in your life and leading you, and if they're unwilling to do what they're asking you to do, you shouldn't be willing to do that under their leadership. It's deep and meaningful. Now, I want to make sure that that's clear, that I'm not giving all the proceeds, because there's a story in the book of Acts, in Acts chapter 5, that we'll get to maybe in the next 8 months. But where Ananias and Sapphira, they dropped dead, but they lied. They said they brought all of something when they didn't bring all of it. And the problem wasn't that they didn't bring all of it. The problem was that they gave the impression that they gave all of it. And Peter says to them, hey, when it was still in your hands, it was yours to do whatever you wanted with. But once you verbalize and tell the people of God, hey, I did all of it, you didn't just lie to people, you lied to God. And they suffered consequences. We don't have time to get into that. And I don't even know that I fully understand that verse yet. But I wanted to just be on real safe ground to not misrepresent what I was bringing. The possession is gone. Someone says, well, what did you do with the rest of the proceeds? Well, we just had 2 weddings in 6 months that were 1,500 miles apart and 2,000 miles from here. A brother needed some help. You know what I'm saying? Like it was deep sacrifice. It was deep sacrifice. Their sin wasn't keeping it. Watch this, please listen. Our sin is not keeping whatever we keep. Don't leave out of here with any condemnation about having possessions. I believe that their sin was pretending that they sacrificed at a deeper level than they really did. And I think that's a cautionary tale for us. May we never pretend with God or our brothers and sisters or ourselves. I wish I could transfer the pain of sacrifice that I felt when I drove where I drove to sell that thing that I sold. Like the whole way there, I was like, really? This thing is nice. And every time that happened, it was the reminder. How honest can I be with you this morning on this wonderful snow day? I thought more about this possession and this process than I did about the God that I serve in the middle of the process. Do we do that? I think we all have tendencies to do that. And it's like, wait, if he's first, like, let's get to the basics of what believers believe. God is first. Is he? Like, I can't judge that for you. I can only judge that for me. And I found an attachment that I had set up as a lofty point of pride, that this thing had elevated in my life higher at times than God. And I was like, okay, Lord, I see it. This thing has an unhealthy hold on me, and I'm going to put an end to it. And I'm going to kick the devil in the throat and say, these things don't have me, and I'm not only going to get rid of this, I'm going to bring a portion, because here's what I know my sacrifice will do. On the other end of my offering, God is going to use the thing I gave up today to change someone's eternity tomorrow, and I'm believing that God is going to do that because he has the power to do that. Like, what? Why would we part with things? We part with things, or we do whatever you do, it's from a place that you believe it's true. So hear me. It's not the amount. God isn't looking for drama, theatrics. He's asking us, I think, and this is just one expression on one weekend of a kingdom principle that we should be living in as regularly as we can, that God is looking in the inward parts of humanity. It's not equal giving. I've done my best to teach this for over a decade. It's not equal giving. It's equal sacrifice. And each person has to judge that themselves. And they sacrificed, and that sacrifice, and then in those texts that we just read, they sold those possessions. That sacrifice led to impact. Look how Acts flowed. They lived daily. They loved daily. They gave daily. As they lived every day, as they loved every day, as they gave every day, watch what God did. God added daily. There's something about consistency and doing things every day that opens up the windows of heaven for God to transform hearts and lives every day. Think about it. I want God to move every day. I should be willing to move every day. Where the church is active daily, God will add daily. Our joy becomes somebody else's breakthrough. Our giving becomes someone else's transformation. Our sacrifice is a seed for someone else's story. The Lord added daily. Look at the holy sequence, if you would, with me, please. Devotion. They devoted themselves. Joy. They received the word with gladness of heart. Generosity. They sold their possessions and gave daily. Then there was unity. Then there was favor. Then there was growth. Then there was impact. Devotion. Joy. I want you to notice that order. That joy follows devotion. Joy doesn't precede devotion. Joy follows it. Some joy that you're looking for is on the other end of your commitment to the next level. People watching online and people in this room, you got to be pretty serious about the Lord because you had to do a little extra gymnastics to get here today. But think about this. Think about if you haven't reached your maximum potential of devotion yet. That there's more left. I drive some people crazy because I'm so growth-minded and growth-oriented that I know this about me. I can become nails on a chalkboard because I've never been very good at letting people settle into average. I've never been very good at being a pastor who champions comfort. And I drive people crazy. I know this about me. I do. But there's something about the way I'm wired that another day is another day to grow. Another day with breath in our lungs is another day to be challenged and to rise to the challenge. See, listen, the early church wasn't trying to manufacture growth. They practiced simple, willing obedience, and God did the heavy lifting. Paul planted, Apollos watered, God made it grow. Unless the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that try to build it. I want to take just a couple moments, and I love everyone who serves everywhere. I love everyone who helps me at the end of a service on keys. But man, there's something special about me and Daniel's flow that's like 20-something years old. I could hold us here all day long if I wanted to. I'm going to resist. What has God built through our previous sacrifice as a church? Let me talk to you about some specifics before we have a chance to give today. And we're going to do that. We're going to end that way. We're going to do it a little bit different. I want you to look at what our prior obedience has already produced. And when you hear these numbers, they're not just numbers. They're names. They're faces. They're families. They're human hearts. It's someone's future. There's people in this room, there's people online that you weren't here at this time last year. Over the course of the weeks that we have up until today, this is like the most current numbers I can give you. We've had some goals in this church to restore, to replenish, to refresh. Under the category of restoring people, through our outreach and Sunday feeds, we've served 900 meals and counting, provided over 6,000 hygiene products to offer dignity and practical help to our region. Our average attendance has grown 22% as a church overall. Since September 14th, this church is averaging nearly 900 people in attendance across both campuses. Zanesville marked 1 full year. It made it to its first birthday with baptisms and child dedications, powerful worship night. Across our church, to date, we have seen 232 documented decisions for Christ in this calendar year, more than 20% ahead of last year. 104 people so far this year have been water baptized. That's an increase of 325% over 2024. And over 200 people have had hands laid on them to receive the baptism of the Holy Spirit just since we started the Spirit-led Living series in September. Our dream teams have grown 17%. Daniel has led our team through 10 weeks of a volunteer playbook so that we can upgrade on how we mobilize team members. Kids ministry has added. Elevate Youth has had its largest single year of increase in the history of our church. Through worship and production and community, we've done worship nights. We hosted Rita Springer for a worship night. We had Paul Scanlon from UK to do a weekend. We hosted the Hagans for a Living Faith Crusade. We hosted Running Mates. We had a tremendous annual end of year board meeting. We have a brand new event teams that are making sure that we continue on with excellence. There are some other things, but the last thing that I want to highlight that must be celebrated is certainly you, the people of our church family, but also a tremendous staff of volunteers and paid individuals who have led over the last year with deep resilience. This church is making an impact. This church is multiplying, and this is a church that I believe God will continue to add to daily.